Hello there, friends. I'm here this evening to tell you all about the life of John Woolman. John Woolman was born in 1720, seemingly an ordinary Quaker, until his life changed one day, when he was throwing rocks for no apparent reason, and he killed a robin.
John Woolman.
And I'm a bird. Caw, caw.
Oh no. Oh, poor bird. I killed an innocent creature. Oh no, I feel so terrible. And now, from now on, I'm going to denounce slavery.
Realizing that the exploitation of all living creatures is wrong, he finally decided to himself that slavery was wrong. And so, when he was 23, he even refused to write a will that regarded the passing on of a slave in inheritance. John Woolman, in a way, was akin to Thomas Paine. His protests were all non-violent, non-physical, as in he didn't go and punch slave owners in the face. Instead, he wrote these protests down. And back in those times, this could actually be quite effective. One of his most famous writings is entitled Some Consideration in the Keeping of Negroes. And so that's basically it. That's John Woolman out for you. A passionate colonist who just hated slavery and the taking of civil liberties.
Mr. Stuyvesant, I've come to take New Netherlands from you.
The name is Stuyvesant.
Breathe!
What's up with the costumes and the sunglasses? This is all wrong. This is not how it happened. Here are the facts.
Yeah, the takeover was actually bloodless, and Peter Stuyvesant came back later with a fleet of 21 ships. The good thing for Britain was it secured the eastern side.
Do you understand now?
I understand.
Never heard of Peter Stuyvesant? Me, the great leader Peter Stuyvesant? Well, let me tell you who I am. I was the best Dutch leader back when New York was New Netherlands. New Netherlands was a place to remember. It was a place of a strong economy, which I gave it. A place with so many forts and with so many successes, led by me. I would take my armies and lead them into battle. I would be at the forefront of every battle. And you know, I would use one hand to smite my enemies, and I'd use the other to pray to God, because I was a good Christian man, as well as a good leader. And not even to mention what my people left behind. Their beautiful legacies. You see these waffles that you eat for breakfast every day, these precious golden delicious morsels? Yeah, that's us, that's the Dutch. And those peppermint candies you eat at Christmas, that's the Dutch. And that ice skating you do. Next time you strap on those blades and run around with your little girlfriends and boyfriends, remember us. And New York City today, Rockefeller Center, Wall Street. If you like money, you gotta know Wall Street. That's all us. It's a shame you don't even know who I am. It really is. But now you know. I'm Peter Stuyvesant.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Good evening. I'm Miss Potts with your daily news. Today is April 9th, 1712, and it's 5:01 p.m. This morning, a French painter went berserk, murdering his wife. Breaking news! A slave revolt in New York City took place 3 days ago. About 20 to 70 slaves were involved, setting fire to a building in the middle of the town square. And when colonists attempted to put it out, 9 were murdered and 8 were injured. Of all the slaves involved, 20 were hung. Needless to say, this will put a huge strain on the relationship between slaves and whites. Well, welcome to Philly. You might think it's great now with its busy, bustling streets, but imagine it back in the colonial times. Philly had a great organizer and leader, William Penn.
Here's the plan for this town.
This is just a bunch of squares.
I know, it's brilliant, right? The Religious Society of Friends will adore this simplistic plan for a land filled with religious toleration.
Still a bunch of squares.
But they'll love it.
Okay.
Ah, welcome, my friend.
Welcome, my friends. I'm a Native American, and I'm here to say to you Quakers that we're going to welcome you with a wealthy supply of fish and fertile land. So, welcome to Pennsylvania.
Come on, everyone. Let's come to Pennsylvania.
Philadelphia, where everything happens.
All rise for the honorable judge in the preceding case of a Mr. John Peter Zenger versus a Mr. William Cosby.
You guys can sit down now. All right. The court is now in session between Mr. John Peter Zenger versus Mr. William Cosby. The defendant has his lawyer, Mr. Alexander Hamilton, over here. Mr. William Cosby, why are you suing this guy?
Well, I'll tell you why. It's because Mr. John Peter Zenger wrote lies about how I rigged an election between myself and Mr. Morris, and it's just not true. It's unethical.
Really?
And it's something I would never do because I'm just not that kind of guy to threaten people.
You may
And I didn't win.
You may sit down now if you are done. Now, Mr. Hamilton, will you say anything on behalf of Mr. John Peter Zenger and defending him?
Yes, I would. I would like to ask the jury, how many of you here have been threatened by Mr. Cosby to vote Mr. Zenger guilty?
He threatened me, sir. And me, sir.
That's what I thought. Does this not prove that Mr. Zenger did not lie? I rest my case.
Well, seeing as our jury finds him guilty, you're not guilty. Well,
This is the story all about how a nerdy kid became the talk of the town. I'd like to take a minute just sit there, son, tell you why Ben Franklin's #1.
in Philadelphia, not born but raised, that's where he worked and spent most of his days, researching London, being all witty, and picking up girls all over the city.
When a couple of buildings were struck down cold, Ben Franklin saved the nation with only a pole, and he also tried to help with the Albany plan, but for once the colonies were not such big fans.
Franklin's stove kept most folks warm, but his abandoned wife's heart was lonely and torn. A dirty womanizer Ben was inside, in whom all the French lady wanted to confide. Fire departments, bifocals, and Richards all knack when Franklin kept the colonies on the right track. As you can see, he had greatness to spare, and not to mention that sexy hair!